Every mountain is unclimbable until someone climbs it, so every ship is unsinkable until it sinks.
Good morning, Papa.
Morning. What's that?
Just arrived. Telegram.
In fact, I hear the Canadians are making quite a thing of the Titanic cemetery. I'm surprised at the number they found. You'd think the sea would have taken more of them.
Really, Edith? Do you have to put on such an exhibition?
She's not.
I was supposed to be engaged to him, for heaven's sake, not you. And I can control myself.
Then you should be ashamed. Mr. Murray, how lovely to see you. Do come in.
You're very kind, Lady Grantham, but I must get back to London.
But you'll stay for luncheon.
Thank you, but no, I'll eat on the train. In fact, if you'd be so good as to ask for the motor to be brought round.
But didn't you want the afternoon to talk things through?
I think we've said everything we have to say, haven't we, my lord?
For the time being, yes. Thank you, Murray. You've given me a good deal to think about.
Mary, try to get everyone into the dining room. Edith, make sure old Lord Minturn sits down.
Oh, I hate black.
It's not for long. Mamma says we can go into half mourning next month and back to colours by September.
Still seems a lot for a cousin.
But not a fiancé.
He wasn't really a fiancé.
No? I thought that was what you call a man you're going to marry.
I was only going to marry him if nothing better turned up.
Mary, what a horrid thing to say.
Don't worry. Edith would have taken him, wouldn't you?
Yes. I'd have taken him. If you'd given me the chance, I'd have taken him like a shot. I'm going down. Coming.
In a moment. You go.
I know you're sad about Patrick. Whatever you say, I know it.
You're a darling. But you see, I'm not as sad as I should be. And that's what makes me sad.
Oh, do stop admiring yourself. He's not marrying you for your looks. That's if he wants to marry you at all.
He will.
You look beautiful.
Thank you, Sybil, darling.
We should go down. They'll be back from the station at any moment. Let's not gild the lily, dear. And Mary, try to look surprised.
Welcome to Downton.
Lady Grantham, this is so kind of you.
Not at all, Duke. We're delighted you could spare the time. You know my daughter Mary, of course.
Of course,
and
Lady Mary.
Edith. But I don't believe you've met my youngest, Sybil.
Ah, Lady Sybil.
How do you do? Come on in. You must be worn out. I'm afraid we're rather a female party tonight, Duke. But you know what it's like trying to balance numbers in the country. A single man outranks the Holy Grail.
No, I'm terribly flattered to be dining en famille.
What were you and Mary doing in the attics this afternoon?
I expect Mary was just showing the Duke the house. Weren't you?
You're a student of architecture.
Absolutely.
Then I do hope you'll come and inspect my little cottage. It was designed by Wren for the first Earl's sister.
The attics?
Yes. Mary took the Duke up to the attics.
Whatever for?
Where was this, dear?
We were just looking around.
Looking around? What is there to look at but servants' rooms? What was the real reason?
Don't be such a chatterbox, Edith.
I think we'll go through. I still don't understand.
Will you hold your tongue?
Welcome to Downton.
Thank you. You've been so kind.
What a reception committee.
Yes, thank you.
This is Carson. We'd all be lost without him. Mamma, may I present Matthew Crawley and Mrs. Crawley, my mother, Lady Grantham.
What should we call each other?
Well, we could always start with Mrs. Crawley and Lady Grantham.
Come into the drawing room and we can make all the proper introductions. Thank you, guys.
What will you do with your time?
I've got a job in Ripon. I said I'll start tomorrow.
A job?
In a partnership. You might have heard of it, Harvel & Carter. They need someone who understands industrial law, I'm glad to say, although I'm afraid most of it will be wills and conveyancing.
You do know I mean to involve you in the running of the estate.
Oh, don't worry. There are plenty of hours in the day. And, of course, I'll have the weekend.
We'll discuss this later. We mustn't bore the ladies.
What is a weekend?
Why are you so against him?
Aside from the fact he's planning to steal our inheritance.
Your inheritance? It makes no difference to Sybil and me. We won't inherit whatever happens.
He isn't one of us.
Cousin Freddie's studying for the bar. And so is Vivian MacDonald.
At Lincoln's Inn, not sitting at a dirty little desk in Ripon. Besides, his father was a doctor.
There's nothing wrong with doctors. We all need doctors.
We all need crossing sweepers and draymen, too. It doesn't mean we have to dine with them.
Whom don't we have to dine with?
Mary doesn't care for Cousin Matthew.
Sybil, be a dear and fetch my black evening shawl. O'Brien knows which one. And Edith, can you see that the drawing room's ready?
Bates,
This gentleman is an acquaintance of Mr. Carson, milady.
what are you doing in here?
He says he has urgent business with his lordship.
Urgent.
I've sent for Mr. Carson to come at once.
Then I'll stay with you, in case explanations are needed.
May I ask who this is and precisely what is going on?
Mr. Bates, what are you? I'm sorry, Your Lordship. Mr. Bates, you may go now.
Stay where you are. Nobody's going anywhere. Do I take it you know this man?
Don't try and deny it. No, I won't deny it. I do know him, my lord, but not what he is doing in the library.
I tried to take him downstairs out of sight, Mr. Carson, but he wouldn't come.
Yes, thank you. That was thoughtful.
But who is he?
Will you tell him or shall I? His name is Charles Grigg. We worked together at one time.
Oh, I'm a little more than that, aren't I, Charlie? We're like brothers, him and me.
We are not like brothers.
We were a double act. On the halls.
You were on the stage? Carson, is this true?
It is, my lord.
The cheerful Charlies, that's what they called us. We did quite well, didn't we?
Until you couldn't keep your hands out of the till.
Would you like us to go, Mr. Carson?
No. You know it now. You might as well bear witness to my shame. He turned up in the village with no warning some days ago, on the run, asking for somewhere to hide and, of course, for money.
God in heaven.
He's wanted for some petty crime, of which he is, of course, guilty.
Yeah, steady on.
He threatened to expose my past, to make me a laughingstock in this house. And in my vanity and pride, I gave him what he wanted.
You did not.
I put him in an empty cottage and fed him from the kitchens. I couldn't buy food in the village. It would raise too many questions. I stole. I'm a thief. She saw it.
I'd never have said anything.
And now my disgrace is complete. My lord, you have my resignation.
Really, Carson, there's no need to be quite so melodramatic. You're not playing Sidney Carton. So why have you come here, if he has done everything you asked of him?
Because he hasn't. He wouldn't give me any money.
If I had, how could I prevent his returning to Downton once it was spent?
My dear Mr. Greig.
Oh, it's nice to see someone round here's got some manners.
Hold your tongue.
I'll tell you what is going to happen. When I have given you £20, you will leave Downton immediately, and we will never set eyes on you again.
I'll have to see about that.
If you return to this area, I will personally ensure your conviction for theft and blackmail.
Just a minute.
You will serve from 5 to 10 years in His Majesty's custody.
You think you're such a big man, don't you? Just because you're a lord, you think you can do what you like with me?
I think it because it is true.
You'll not always be in charge, you know. The day is coming when your lot will have to toe the line just like the rest of us.
Perhaps. But happily for Carson, that day has not come yet.
Must we all go to the hospital?
I'm afraid Papa wants to teach Granny a lesson. Poor Granny. A month ago, these people were strangers. Now she must share power with the mother, and I must marry the son.
You won't marry him, though, will you?
What, marry a sea monster?
We shouldn't laugh. That's so unkind.
But he must marry someone.
Edith, what are you thinking?
You know, I don't dislike him as much as you do.
Perhaps you don't dislike him at all.
Perhaps I don't.
Well, it's nothing to me. I've bigger fish to fry.
What fish? Are we talking about E.N.?
How do you know that? Have you been poking around in my things?
Of course not.
Come on. Who is he? It's not fair if you both know.
You won't be any the wiser, but his name is Evelyn Napier.
The Honourable Evelyn Napier, son and heir to Viscount Branksome.
Who wants an old sea monster when they can have Perseus?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this happy event. The investiture of our first chairwoman, Mrs. Reginald Crawley, who has graciously agreed to share the duties of our beloved president, the Dowager Countess of Grantham. Our little hospital must surely grow and thrive with two such doughty champions, united as they are by the strongest ties of all, family and friendship.
God, are you busy? Your ladyship. I saw this. It came out yesterday. Look. It's for a secretary at a new firm in Thirsk. See? Well, I don't understand. How did you know that you wanted to leave? Carson told my father. And you don't mind? Why should I? I think it's terrific that people make their own lives. Especially women. Write to them today and name me as your reference. I can give it without ever specifying precisely what your work here has been. Milady. Thank you.
Come in. Come in. Good to see you again. Branson, isn't it?
That's right, your lordship.
I hope they've shown you where everything is and we've delivered whatever we promised at the interview.
Certainly, my lord.
Won't you miss Ireland?
Ireland, yes, but not the job. The mistress was a nice lady, but she only had one car and she wouldn't let me drive it over 20 miles an hour. So it was a bit, well, boring, so to speak. You've got a wonderful library.
You're very welcome to borrow books if you wish.
Really, my lord?
Well, there's a ledger over there that I make everyone use, even my daughters. Carson and Mrs. Hughes sometimes take a novel or two. What are your interests?
History and politics, mainly.
Heavens. Carson, Branson is going to borrow some books. He has my permission.
Very good, my lord.
Is that all, my lord?
It is. Off you go and good luck.
Why is Sybil having a new dress, not me?
Because it's Sybil's turn.
Can it be my choice this time?
Of course, darling. As long as you choose what I choose. Branson, you'll be taking Lady Sybil to Ripon tomorrow. She'll be leaving after luncheon.
Certainly, your ladyship.
Poor old Madam Swan. I don't know why we bother with fitting. She always makes the same frock.
What do you want her to make?
Something new and exciting.
Heavens, look at the time. Not a minute to change. And Granny's invited herself for dinner.
Then she can jolly well wait.
So women's rights begin at home, I see. Well, I'm all for that.
Real school. You're not a doctor's daughter.
But nobody learns anything from a governess, apart from French and how to curtsy.
What else do you need?
Well, there's...
Were you thinking of a career in banking?
No, but it is a noble profession.
Things are different in America.
I know. They live in wigwams.
And when they come out of them, they go to school.
You shouldn't have eaten with us. The chauffeur always eats in his own cottage.
Steady on, you can cut him a bit of slack on his second day.
Waiting to take old Lady Grantham home.
Even then, Taylor never ate with us. You're taking advantage of Mrs. Hughes' absence.
What are you doing?
I'm sorting the collars, removing the ones that have come to an end.
What happens to his lordship's old clothes?
What's it to you? Clothes are a valet's pert, not a chauffeur's.
I get some, but most of it goes into the missionary barrel.
I know it's meant to be kind, but I can think of better ways of helping the needy than sending stiff collars to the equator.
I thought Anna might have come down for a dinner.
And sure she's ready to start work again? Not a chance.
She's still in bed then?
She is. While I'm sat here, sewing like a cursed princess in a fairy tale and not down at the fair with the others. What do you want?
I've got a message for Lady Sybil from her ladyship. Thank you, O'Brien. I'll manage now. Odious woman. What does Mama want? I just said that to get rid of her. This came today. I knew they would want to see you. Oh, it's your reference what's done it. But how am I going to get there? They won't let me take a day off. You're going to be ill. They can't stop you being ill. What? No one has seen Anna for a whole day. They won't notice if you vanish for a couple of hours.
Will you have your own way, do you think? With the frock? Only I couldn't help overhearing yesterday. And from what her ladyship said, it sounded as if you support women's rights.
I suppose I do.
Because I'm quite political. In fact, I brought some pamphlets that I thought might interest you about the vote.
Thank you. But please don't mention this to my father or my grandmother. One whiff of reform and she hears the rattle of the guillotine. It seems rather unlikely, a revolutionary chauffeur.
Maybe. But I'm a socialist, not a revolutionary. And I won't always be a chauffeur.
Is there anything more thrilling than a new frock? I suppose not, my lady. You should have one too. I thought this would be suitable for your interview. I won't be wearing it, my lady. Of course you will. We have to make you look like a successful professional woman. What is it? What's happened? Well, I won't wear it because I'm not going. They've cancelled the appointment. They've found someone more suited for the post and better qualified. This time, let's face it, there will never be anyone less suited for the post or worse qualified than I am. That isn't true. You'll see, we're not giving up. No one hits the bullseye with the first arrow.
Whatever is holding Sybil up?
She was going on about her new frock.
We'd better go in without her, or it's not fair on Mrs. Patmore.
Oh, is her cooking so precisely timed? You couldn't tell. I think her food is delicious. Naturally.
Good evening, everyone.
Who's that from, Papa? You seem very absorbed.
Your Aunt Rosamond.
Anything interesting?
Nothing to trouble you with.
Poor Aunt Rosamond. All alone in that big house. I feel so sorry for her.
I don't. All alone with plenty of money in a house in Eaton Square. I can't imagine anything better.
Really, Mary, I wish you wouldn't talk like that. There will come a day when someone thinks you mean what you say.
It can't come soon enough for me.
Carson, I'll be in the library. Will you let me know when her ladyship is down?
Certainly, my lord.
Sybil, darling, this one's for you.
I saw another opening for a secretary and I applied. But you never said. I didn't want you to be disappointed. I thought you'd given up. I'll never give up, and nor will you. Things are changing for women, Gwen. Not just the vote, but our lives. But it's tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Last time we waited for weeks and weeks, and this one's tomorrow. Then we must be ready by tomorrow, mustn't we?
I thought you went to bed hours ago.
I was writing a note for Lynch. I need the governor's cart tomorrow.
Oh?
I'm going to Malton.
Oh, don't risk the traffic in Malton. Not now every Tom, Dick and Harry seems to have a motor.
Hardly.
Last time I was there were 5 cars parked in the marketplace and another 3 drove past while I was waiting. Get Branson to take you in the car. Neither of us are using it.
I thought I'd pop in on old Mrs. Stewart. Will you tell Mama if I forget?
But I had to let your skirt down a little, but I can put it back.
No, it's yours. What will happen if one of the maids finds your room's empty?
Oh, but it would only be Anna. And she wouldn't give me away. She's like a sister. She'd never betray me.
Oh, well, then she's not like my sisters. Walk on. Can you help? I should be so grateful. Our horse has cast a shoe. Is there a smithy nearby?
Ah, you can try old Crump in the next village.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See, help's at hand. And at least it happened on the way home. Well, they'll be worried about you. And if they check on me, I'm finished.
Sorry, miss, but Mr. Crump's staying over at the Skelton estate tonight. He's working there all week.
Is there anyone else?
Not that I know of.
Come on, Dragon, come on!
Dragon, if you don't move now, I'll have you boiled for glue. Everyone, put down your forks. Carson, remove this. Bring fruit, bring cheese, bring anything to take this taste away.
Sir Anthony, I am so sorry.
Fains I be Mrs. Patmore's kitchen maid when the news gets out.
Poor girl. We ought to send in a rescue party.
You must think it's very disorganised.
Not at all. These things happen.
Have you recovered from our ordeal?
Well, I got a letter this morning. They must have written it as soon as I left the office. They are pleased to have met me, but I do not quite fit their requirements. So, it was all for nothing.
I don't agree.
Only a fool doesn't know when they've been beaten.
Then I'm a fool, for I'm a long way from being beaten yet.
So Emily Davison, crushed to death beneath the hooves of the King's horse. Will the summer of 1914 prove as fatal for the hopes of women? It cannot! This historic by-election the journey to women's equality.
If you're so keen on women's rights, let a woman speak.
Oh, why stop there? Let's get the dogs up and listen to them bark.
You all right, my lady?
Isn't it exciting?
Sybil, I think it's time for Branson to take you home.
Not yet.
I think so. I applaud your spirit in coming, and I will applaud your discretion when you leave.
But you agree with everything he says?
I do, my dear, but I also know if anything happens to you, Branson will lose his place.
Better safe than sorry, my lady.
Oh, it's an act of mercy. I disagree. But
the car's just here.
The benefit.
Women must get the vote, mustn't they, Branson? Why does the Prime Minister resist the inevitable?
Politicians can't often recognise the changes that are inevitable.
I hope you do go into politics. It's a fine ambition.
Ambition or dream? If I do, it's not all about women and the vote for me, nor even freedom for Ireland. It's the gap between the aristocracy and the poor and...
And what?
Sorry. Don't mean to speak against his lordship.
Why not? You obviously don't approve of him.
Not as a representative of an oppressive class. But he's a good man. And a decent employer.
Spoken like a true politician. What do I look like? Could you sneak me around the back? I should hate for Papa to see me like this.
Did you speak well?
I thought so.
But there was quite a brouhaha.
You know what these things can be like.
I do. Which is why I am astonished you should not feel it necessary to ask my permission to attend. I assume this was Branson's scheme.
No.
I confess I was amused at the idea of an Irish radical for a chauffeur, but I see now I've been naive.
I told Branson to take Sybil.
What are you saying?
Sybil needed to go to Ripon. I asked Branson to drive her. I thought it would be sensible. In case there was trouble.
I want to do some canvassing. The by-election isn't far off.
Canvassing?
Oh, it's quite safe. You're in a group and you knock on doors.
Yes, I know what canvassing is.
I think that Sybil is...
What? Are you canvassing too? Or would you rather take in washing?
I was only going to say that Sybil is entitled to her opinions.
No. She isn't until she is married. Then her husband will tell her what her opinions are.
Oh, Granny.
I knew you wouldn't approve.
Which presumably is why you all hid your plans from me. I think I owe you an apology after the way I spoke at dinner.
Next time you want to treat me like a naughty schoolgirl, you might do it in private, not in front of the servants.
You're right, I'm sorry.
Of course, I gave your mother her best evening since Christmas.
Even so, we must try to keep control of Sybil.
Robert, believe me, Sybil is not your problem. We've got to support Mary this year when we get to London.
But it's Sybil's first season. We can't have Mary stealing her thunder.
Sybil will do well enough. It's time Mary was settled. High time.
Poor old Edith. We never seem to talk about her.
I'm afraid Edith will be the one to care for us in our old age.
What a ghastly prospect.
Papa, can Branson drive me into Ripon on Friday evening?
I don't think so, no. Not after the last time.
Oh, please. There's a meeting on my Borstal charity. I've missed two, and I simply must be there.
You'd have to take Mary or Edith with you.
Don't make me. Those meetings are deadly at the best of times, and you know what they're like when they're bored.
Why are all your causes so steeped in gloom?
Because it's the gloomy things that need our help. If everything in the garden's sunny, why meddle?
Well, I agree with that. Talking of sunny, are you looking forward to your coming season?
I am, rather.
Sorry, I'm a bit late tonight.
Not to worry.
How are you?
Bearing up? isn't the end. You mustn't give up. We'll get there.
Forgive me, my lady, but you don't get it. You're brought up to think it's all within your grasp, that if you want something enough, it will come to you. But we're not like that. We don't think our dreams are bound to come true because they almost never do.
And that's why we must stick together. Your dream is my dream now. And I'll make it come true.
Where to from here, my lady?
What do you mean? We've arrived.
The meeting's in one of these buildings here.
This is the meeting. We're here for the counting of the votes.
I don't understand it. I thought that...
Don't be silly, Branson. You didn't think I missed my very first by-election.
I don't think his lordship would approve.
Let me worry about him.
I have to park the car. Don't move. Stay where you are.
Really, Branson? I thought I gave the orders.
The Liberal Party.
This is not our interest in politics. They're spoiling for a fight.
5,894 votes. I hereby declare that
the How you get, lads? We'll soon wipe the smile off the Tory bloody faces.
Duly elected. To serve as Member of Parliament Sybil, for the Ripon constituency.
What on earth are you doing here?
Couldn't miss this.
Couldn't you? I could.
I don't like the look of this, milady. Look, I'm on your side. Don't cause any trouble. You have to believe me.
What's your problem then, Mr. Lardy-Jar?
My problem is you.
All right.
Oh, no. Oh, please, God, no.
This way.
I fetched a coat.
Why? What do I need a coat for?
I've come to fetch you, my lady. We've taken Lady Sybil to Crawley House in the village.
What's happened?
I took her to Ripon for the count. She got injured in a fight.
Take me there at once. My God. Oh, my darling.
I didn't know what to do, so I had Branson bring her here.
Quite right. Mamma would have fainted if she'd seen her like this. As for Papa...
This will sting a bit. But it stopped bleeding. Did you know she was planning this?
Of course not.
Well, what were you doing there?
I was working late. I'd forgotten it was election night, or I wouldn't have stayed.
I'm so grateful you did.
Oh, I could wring Branson's neck.
What was he thinking? I'm afraid it'll cost him his job.
No. I told him he was taking me to a committing meeting. When he realised what it was, he wanted to come straight back.
You'll have to stick up for him, because Papa will skin him alive.
Are you feeling strong enough to go home?
I think so. If he'll take me.
Here, wear my coat to cover the blood. You'll look more normal.
Lean on me.
Thank you so much for this.
She's not badly hurt, is she?
I don't think so, no.
Thank God.
Better be prepared. I'm afraid Lord Grantham will hit the roof.
I never would have taken her there. I may be a socialist, but I'm not a lunatic.
I'm not sure Papa knows the difference.
You let me know how she gets on. Please.
If you wish.
How dare you? How dare you disobey me in this way?
Robert, I'm sure...
Are you so knowledgeable about the great world?
Papa, I'm sorry I disobeyed you. But I'm interested. I'm political. I have opinions.
Of course, I blame Branson.
I don't think that's fair.
We had none of this. None of it! Until he set foot in our house. I suppose I should give thanks he hasn't burnt the place down over our heads.
Branson didn't know anything about it until we arrived there.
He leaves tonight.
If you punish Branson, I'll never speak to you again. Never.
I don't believe this is Branson's fault, truly, Papa.
Blame me.
I do blame you.
Robert, can we do this in the morning? Sybil needs rest.
But if I find tomorrow that Branson is missing, I'll run away, I warn you.
Oh, and where would you go?
Well, I can't think now, but I will go, and you'll be sorry.
I should be sorry. Very sorry indeed.
How is she?
She'll be perfectly fine.
I gather you're the shining knight in all this.
Not really. I'm glad I was there.
So am I, by heaven. If it had been left to that bloody fool Branson. You should see what he reads. It's all Marx and Ruskin and John Stuart Mill, I ask you.
Papa prefers the servants to read the Bible and letters from home.
Sybil, you were a great success in London, darling. Well done.
You never say that to me.
Don't I? You were very helpful, dear. Thank you.
So, what did we miss?
Nothing much. Although you'd have had more invitations than I did.
Have you thought about Matthew?
Of course. But Aunt Rosamond
No,
said...
She's written to me I should pay no attention.
But Granny, she has got a point. Mary can't be completely naive.
I don't need your help, thank you.
Mary, listen to me. If you take Matthew now, when his whole future is at risk, he will love you to the end of his days.
Why, Granny, you're a romantic.
I've been called many things, but never that.
And what happens if the baby's a boy and Matthew loses everything?
Mary can always change her mind.
But I can't do that to Matthew. It's not how we are together.
Oh.
No, I'm going upstairs to help Anna unpack.
I'll come with you.
Is it all right if I make some notes?
I'm so sorry, Mr...
This is Mr. Bromwich, my lady. He's here about the telephone.
Oh, please make your notes, dear Mr. Bromwich. We're so looking forward to it. What an exciting business to be in.
You must be expanding every day.
Oh, we are, sir. But that brings its problems. Training up men for the work when many have no aptitude. I can't even find a secretary who can keep pace at the moment.
What?
But it's hard with a new concept. Too old, they can't change. Too young, and they've no experience.
But have you filled the post yet? Because I know just the woman.
Well, she must hurry up. We'll close the list tomorrow night.
You'll have her application. I promise. Carson said you were here.
Oh, just checking that everything's been done right, my lady.
Only we never heard back. That is, Miss Dawson never heard back from you. About an interview?
Yes. We got the young lady's letter, but the trouble is she didn't have any experience of hard work that I could tell, so...
But she's a very hard worker.
Well, I couldn't find any proof of it. And she gave you as a reference when you don't run a business, my lady. Well, not that I'm aware of.
Lily, can you find Gwen and tell her to come to the hall now?
Yes, my lady.
The reason Gwen didn't give any more details is because she works here as housemaid.
Ah, and you thought that would put me off?
But she's taken a postal course and has good speeds in typing, and Pitman Shorthand test her.
I will, if I like the look of her. Ah, so, young lady, you thought I'd turn up my nose at a housemaid?
Well, I did, sir.
Well, my mother was a housemaid. I've got nothing against housemaids. They know about hard work and long hours, that's for sure.
Well, I believe so, sir.
Right, well, is there somewhere we could talk?
Gwen, take Mr. Bromwich to the library. I'll see no one disturbs you. Sorry, Papa, you can't go in there.
Why on earth not?
Gwen's in there with Mr. Bromwich. She's being interviewed.
I cannot use my library because one of the housemaids is in there applying for another job.
It's about the size of it.
Mr. Carson's telephone is ringing. Well, isn't someone going to answer it?
I wouldn't touch that thing with a 10-foot pole.
Well, I will then. No, Mr. Carson's busy. But can I take a message?
Apparently our father's taking a whole lot of them to Sybil. I wish ours was.
I've got news, my lady.
Mr. Bromwich is wrong. You've done it, Gwen. You've got the job. Take it.
Something to celebrate?
I got the job, Mrs. Hughes. I'm a secretary. I'm begun.
I'm very happy for you, Gwen, and we'll celebrate after we finish today's work.
Of course, Mrs. Hughes.
I don't suppose...
Lady Sybil. Her ladyship was asking after you. Be careful, my lad, or you'll end up with no job and a broken heart.
What do you mean?
Please, would you stop, please? My lords, ladies and gentlemen, can I ask for silence? Because I very much regret to announce that we are at war with Germany.